All right, let's jump right into today's deep dive. We're looking at a piece of source material that, honestly, it sounds like a simple historical fable at first glance, right? But it's actually an absolute masterclass in faith, time, and human psychology. Today, we're unpacking the Sand Shiva Linga and ego. We're going to look at this incredible moment where literal earth-shattering power goes head-to-head with, well, a handful of sand. It's wild. It shows us how even the most powerful beings in existence sometimes need a reality check that only absolute humility can provide. So get comfortable and let's get right into it. So the very first question that hits you, and it's a big one, is why? Why did Lord Rama build a Shiva Linga out of mere sand? I mean, think about the resources at play here. We're talking about someone commanding an entire, formidable monkey army. He's got divine backing, unbelievable capabilities, the whole shebang. So why choose the most ordinary, fragile thing imaginable? Beach sand. Stuff that literally washes away with a single wave or blows away in a stiff breeze. Setting up something this monumentally important with something so delicate, it really forces you to stop and realize, okay, there's no way this was just a simple, logical choice. There was a much grander design at play here. Let's peel back the layers and see what was actually going on beneath the surface. Part 1. The resolve for Shiva worship. The source material sets a very specific scene for us. This is right before the massive, unprecedented march into Lanka. And you know, a war like that, it's no ordinary feat. Lord Rama needed to ensure this monumental undertaking had pure divine blessing. But to do the ritual right, he needed the proper symbol, a Shiva Linga. And this is where things get really fascinating. He turns to his absolute most trusted, most powerful devotee, Hanuman, and issues this staggering command. He says, go to Mount Kailash and bring the Shiva Linga of Lord Shiva. Just let the sheer scale of that sink in for a second. He didn't say, hey, grab a nice stone from that hill over there. No, he asked for a Shiva Linga straight from Mount Kailash, Lord Shiva's personal abode. It just goes to show the absolute unwavering trust he had in Hanuman. I mean, traveling thousands of miles to retrieve the most sacred object in existence, that's a job strictly for the son of the wind god. Part 2. The auspicious time and the sand. But you know how it is. Time is always the ultimate complication, even for the divine. Hanuman had already taken off for Kailash, but back on the beach, a massive logistical crisis is brewing. The text outlined how the muhurta, the deeply sacred cosmic window of time designated for the worship, was rapidly slipping away. And in Hindu philosophy, the muhurta is absolutely paramount. It's the exact moment when an action is deemed most successful. Missing it, totally unacceptable, because time waits for literally no one. Let's actually look at the timeline here, because it's essentially a ticking clock. Hour 1, they're just waiting for Hanuman. By hour 2, the realization starts creeping in that, this cosmic window is closing. Time is running out fast. By the 3rd hour, Rama has to make a highly practical call. He brings in Sugriva, lays the situation bare, and says they simply cannot delay any longer. And finally, in the 4th hour, Rama makes an extraordinary decision. He declares he's going to build the Shiva Linga using the very sand right there on the beach. He prioritized time, resolve, and pure devotion over physical grandeur.
Part 3. Destroying Hanuman's ego.
Now we're getting into the real psychological meat of this explainer. Picture the scene. Lord Rama has just finished handcrafting and establishing this sand Shiva Linga. And at that exact moment, Hanuman finally touches down. He'd done it. He completed this gargantuan task and brought back the grand Shiva Linga from Kailash. But what he finds on the beach is totally not what he expected. The ritual? It's already done. Over. From this moment on, the whole narrative shifts from a logistical problem to a deep, profound psychological lesson. I mean, look at the sheer contrast here. On one side, you've got this massive, unyielding, sacred stone from Mount Kailash. It's this magnificent artifact perfectly symbolizing Hanuman's legendary strength and speed. And on the other side, a fragile, tiny little mound of beach sand. Hanuman probably looked at that little sand structure and thought, well, that's absolutely nothing compared to what I just brought. But this wasn't just about two objects. This was a head-on collision between the pride of ultimate power and the sheer essence of humility. So, the source material brings us to the ultimate climax. Hanuman, completely confident in his legendary might, decides he's just going to casually move this sand Shiva Linga out of the way so he can install the real one he brought. So he tries to move it. And what happens? Pay very close attention to the exact phrasing from the source here. The Shiva Linga did not budge. Just think about how wild that is. We're talking about one of the most powerful beings in the universe, a deity who literally lifts mountains for breakfast. and he couldn't shift a handful of wet, molded sand by a single inch. All his might, all that legendary earth-shaking force, it just completely and utterly failed. This wasn't some weird physical glitch. This was an overwhelming, undeniable display of pure spiritual fortitude. So the crucial takeaway here is that this staggering failure of strength, absolutely no coincidence. The text explicitly concludes that this whole entire event was a deliberate orchestration. It was specifically designed by Lord Rama to destroy Hanuman's ego. It was a masterclass in intervention. Lord Rama, being infinitely wise, recognized that this subtle little poison of ego had started to take root in Hanuman. Pride in his own unparalleled powers, pride in being the ultimate devotee. And Rama wanted to protect his most beloved disciple from falling into that spiritual trap. He needed to show Hanuman that raw power and physical grandeur are ultimately completely meaningless in the face of the divine. What actually matters is pure, unadulterated surrender. That little mound of sand wasn't just sand, it was the physical manifestation of absolute humility. A force so incredibly grounded that literally no amount of physical strength or pride could ever shake it.
Which brings us to our final and honestly most important question. This isn't just some story from the distant past. It throws a really piercing question right into our modern everyday lives. Where is the place for ego in true devotion? Whether you're looking at this through a spiritual lens or just thinking about your dedication to your career or life goals, the lesson is super relevant. As long as you're holding on to that ego that says, I'm the greatest or only I can do this, you're actually blocking yourself from true inner peace and success. It's a powerful reminder that the strongest, most absolutely unshakable foundations are very often built from the simplest, most humble materials, just like sand. I'm going to leave you to chew on that thought for a bit. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I will catch you in the next explainer.